Hello, it's Helen from Journal with Purpose and welcome to my latest video. Today I'm going to share a flip through of my bullet journal pages from September so far and also my setup for October. And I keep my bullet journal inside this etched cover from Start Bay notebook, which I've had personalised with Journal with Purpose on the front. And for my bullet journal, I use a dotted A5 Rhodia Gold book. And this is the same notebook I've been using for years now, and I get on really well with it. So this was my setup for September, and I was using my Patreon printables. And I always like to have a cover page for the new month. For me, it kind of indicates that new start, and I often like it to try and kind of reflect the seasons or things that are going on around me. So this is my September calendar so far, and I make a note on here all the time of kind of anything that I've got going on, whether it's meetings, Zoom calls, or just bits that I've been working on. And these were my main tasks that I've set out for the month. And when I'm part way through something, I put one line, and obviously when it's completed, I put a cross. And quite a few of these things are things that I'll get finished right towards the end of the month. And here I write down my social media numbers and Skillshare students, things like that, and then I'll complete a quick review at the end of the month. After that, I had my Be Proud pages, which is where I write a line an evening of things that I feel I've done well at that day. So they don't have to be massive things. I've got things like taking an online class to relax and stretch myself. Did some cooking to get prepared for the week ahead. So just little things that I feel I've done well at. And then this is my one line a day, where I just do a really brief record of the things that I've kind of been either working on, or it could be things that I've watched, things I've been reading, anything like that from throughout the day. This is my master task list for the month, so everything I'd like to get done for Journal with Purpose, social media posts, HR work, and things for around the home and for me. I've then got my gratitude log, so again the same as the Be Proud, I write just one line a day, and this is of things that I'm grateful for. So I've got things like waking up full of energy, gorgeous autumn weather for a long walk with Barney, kind feedback on my printables, lots of laughter, so just a really happy page. And then this is my habit tracker. As you can see, so we're on the 22nd today, so I'll fill those in the evening. And I've had questions about how I stay on top of things like that. I think it's really just about building a routine that works for you. So after we've had our evening meal, we tend to sit on the settee and I take my journal across with me. And to fill out my Be Proud gratitude pages and my habit tracker really doesn't take very long, just a few minutes. And I'll just go through and just quickly mark down all of those while I remember, because I know if I get behind, it's much more difficult to try and remember what I did on each day. And at the end of the month, this gives me a really good picture of any areas that I feel that I need to spend a bit more time focusing on for the month ahead. So that's the evening routine that works best for me, but it's thinking about really when you perhaps have some quieter times where you might be able to sit and do it. Sometimes I'll sit and do it whilst dinner's cooking, but other times I'll just take it onto the settee in the evening whilst we've got the television on. So this was my YouTube schedule for the month with things I filmed, when they're edited and when they're released. My blog section is again empty, so I'm hoping to do something about that before the end of September. I've got two things in mind. It's just been one of those months that's been a bit topsy-turvy. I took my daughter back to university. I've had lots of other things going on, so I don't beat myself up if there's something that I've not used, but what I do know then is that that absolutely has to be a priority for the following month. So I use my journal to learn from, never to give myself a hard time about, because that's not what it's for me. It's about learning what do my priorities need to be, or are some of these things no longer important or relevant to me. So that was my mood tracker for the month so far. So I've just coloured in one of the leaves using one of the colours from my key. And again, this is part of my printables, but you could pick as many different moods as you want. Then after that, I've got my Patreon schedule. And you notice I do quite a lot in pencil, and once it's done then I will ink it in, but it means that I can move things around without getting in too much of a mess. I like to plan things out quite a long time in advance if I can, so I've got a feel for what I want to get done, but it means that I can also change them really easily if I need to. So then we get into my weekly and daily plans, and I always set these up the same way. So I've got my events here, or anything really that was going on, so what I was working on, really any project work, things like that, birthdays, videos that I've got going out. Then I have my meals, which is breakfast, lunch, dinner and snacks, my main tasks for that week. So I go back to my master task list and I bring some of those tasks into each week. My mini habit tracker for the week, which is exercise, water, personal development and doing something creative. And then any tasks which I know I need to take into my plans the following week. And the washi tape and the stickers here both come from London Gifties, and I'll leave a link to Christine's shop down below and a code that you can use as well. So then that's my daily plans, and I just adjust things really. I take as much space as I need on each of those days, and throughout the week it usually more or less fills both pages. So again, exactly the same setup there. And again, taking up roughly the same amount of space. If I needed to use another page, then I'd just do that, that's not a problem. So, and then here I've got some books that I really want to read, some kind of personal development books, and some classes I want to take. There's actually loads of online classes I want to take, but I find that if I have too many listed at a time, it stops me from actually doing them, because I'll get to the weekend when I've got a bit more free time and I can't decide which ones I want to do. And I've got some catching up from Wanderlust 2020. I've done quite a lot of the classes, but there's some that I missed because they seemed a bit longer. So I want to go back and pick some of those up. And there's loads of Skillshare classes, but once I finish those, I'll write down perhaps my next 3 or 5, so that when it gets to the weekend, it's really easy for me to decide what I want to do. And I do the same with other big projects sometimes. I'll list out everything, but then on a separate piece of paper and just write down a few tasks at a time in my journal so that it doesn't overwhelm me. So this was last week in my bullet journal, and for doing these leaves I used, I think it was, this Zebra mild liner brush pen, and then just inked around the outside for a little bit of detail. And this is these week's plans so far. And again, this is where I've got things in pencil for what I want to film, release, things I want to plan. And then at the end of each day, again, I just ink them in once I know what I've actually done. So that's this week's daily plans. I've then left a couple of blank pages because we've got one more week which will fall mainly into September. And then we get into my October setup, and this was from my new printable range, and I'm so happy with how they're looking. I can never quite picture it until they're all printed out. One of the questions I have been asked is about what I use when I'm printing out things like my sticker sheets, and so I tend to print and cut out a couple of different copies of them. And this was a sticker book from London Gifties, and I've cut them out and put them in here so they're really easy to use. And the paper that I use, this one's actually from Evergreen Goods, and it's transparent glossy vinyl, so A4 size, you can use in an inkjet printer. And I do print them out sometimes on white sticker paper as well. So you can see those there, and they still come out beautifully on normal sort of matte paper, but of course things are more difficult to cut around, and the colours come out more vibrant on the vinyl transparent sticker paper, but I like both of them and I'll use all of them throughout the course of the month, I've no doubt. But it is a bit more forgiving with the transparent sticker paper from not having to be quite so careful on where you cut. So you can see my setup's the same. I'll come in and fill all of the details for my tasks and what I want to plan to do once we get closer towards the end of September. And then my master task list, be proud on 1 line a day, gratitude log and habit tracker, YouTube and blog plan, my mood tracker for the month all ready to fill in, and then also my Patreon plan for the month. So I really hope you've enjoyed seeing my setup. If you've ever got any questions, please do just leave them down below and I'll try my very best to answer any of them. And as always, a massive thank you to everybody who's joined me over on Patreon. I appreciate you so much. I hope you're doing really, really well. Thank you ever so much for watching, and I look forward to speaking with you really soon in my next video.